Hi, my name is Jonah Parson Johnson, and I'm here at Reverb.com to give you some tips about using your saxophone with effects pedals in live situations. The first important thing that I would recommend for everybody using saxophone with effects is to bring your own microphone. I use this Shure Beta 98H/C microphone. It's a clip-on microphone that goes XLR into my board. I really believe in using your own microphone because just like a pickup in a guitar, the microphone really has a big effect on the sound. And more than anything else, I think it's really nice to know what is going to be going into your effects and making sure that that stays as consistent as possible from night to night. Because if the room changes, lots of other things can change, but at least you know that your microphone will stay the same. So the second thing, which is probably about as important as the microphone, is making sure that you have the right kind of signal going into your effects. So if you're using guitar pedals like I do, it's important to remember that guitar signal is not the same as line level, and it's not the same as microphone signal, and not every guitar pedal will react well to that. So with my microphone, I go XLR out of the microphone into my board, and then I use a Rolls MP13 preamp, which gives me my phantom power, but it also allows me to put a tiny bit of gain on the microphone, which gets me up past microphone level, closer to instrument level without going too far and sending a line level signal. That way I can get all the signal into my board at a level that allows me to do a lot of manipulation without getting any feedback or distortion coming through all the pedals. So when you're using effects pedals at home, you can set up your own perfect sound and you can hear your horn really well because you're in the room with it, and all that's great, but then you can get to the venue and suddenly everything is completely lost. And I think that part of that is because we all have the instinct to get a really wet sound running through our effects pedals. And one thing that I do to sort of combat that problem is I always send a clean signal through my entire rig in parallel so that I always have pure saxophone coming through in the most acoustic way I can. The way I do that is using the Boss LS2 line selector, which has the ability to run two parallel effects loops, one clean and one dirty, and then it has two knobs. So basically I'm using a mixer, but it's a really small compact mixer that fits on my pedal board, and that allows me to send clean saxophone on one side and all my effects on the other side and blend it back together before I send it to the sound guy. I think it's really important to know what kind of sound situation you're going to at every venue. I try really hard to set up my rig so that I can use it in a lot of different ways. I know how to use it with a guitar amp. I know how to use it in a large venue with a PA. I could probably use it with a bass amp. I think we used it with the bass amp here today. And the things that are important in going along with that is know your monitor situation. If you can't get a monitor, then you can throw an amp behind you, which can be really nice because you hear the sound coming from behind you, but you also have to be careful about feedback. And the most important thing to avoid feedback is to try to just keep the amp off axis from your microphone. So a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. I always try to think of it as put the amp on the opposite side of my body than the saxophone. It's really important to know which parts of your setup you can't play without. And not too long ago, I had a gig where my DSI Mofo just stopped working right before I played, and I barely made it through the show. So after that, I decided that I was going to start bringing a first aid kit whenever I played live. So now I carry around this box that has an extra Dave Smith Mofo, a DI box, and some other like a MIDI interface in case I need to reload presets and stuff like that. That way if I get up to a venue after a long day of driving and I find out that my stuff has stopped working, I always have backups for the things that I really can't live without. And then the last thing that is definitely extremely important is always have an off switch on every setup, because there's nothing worse than standing on stage with a bunch of feedback and having some people screaming at you because you can't get the feedback to stop. Just put something at the end of your chain, maybe a tuner, maybe something else that can turn everything off. So those were just a few tips for ways to make it easier to play saxophone in a live situation with effects pedals. I want to thank Reverb.com so much for having me. And if you want to find out more about my music, you can check out jonahpj.com and look out for a new solo record coming out in the summer of 2017.